Hey, oh, am I live? Yes. Beautiful. Hi, everybody. How are you? Oh, my goodness. Just waiting for people. Gotta fix this a little bit. Fix the angle. That's a good angle. Just fixing some stuff here while people find the stream. How is everybody? Oh my God. Guess how I spent my morning? I spent my morning in hell. I spent my morning with GoDaddy. And I would like to give a review. Do not use GoDaddy. That's my review. I told them that I had lost the email that I had with them, that I couldn't log on because I hadn't used it for years, but it originally started off as a free whatever. They said it was lost, and then they sold me a new one. Then they sold me an additional $23.40 to protect the email. Guess that was monthly. So I can't log on after 3 days to this new email, which is supposed to be the same email as the previous email, which I got for free. So 4 hours into the conversation, because I contacted them because I couldn't get back to them and telling them that I was going to contact the Better Business Bureau, I finally got the supervisor, and the supervisor said to me, this was after 4 hours. Now explain to me again why you want to open and pay for a new account when you have a free email. Yeah. So she returned the money and apologized. Sorry for taking 3 days of your life that you'll never get back. Um, I still can't log on, but I got my money back. So I Googled, and they've had multiple class action lawsuits. So those are the people that run my drwhimsy.com account. So if I shut my drwhimsy.com account down, it's because I couldn't take it anymore. All right. Good to see you all here. What you eating? What you drinking? Where you coming from? All that good stuff. Oh, my hair's all over the place. I just got out of a shower. It is a scam. Meanwhile, where's my email? That's all I want. I just want to log into my email. All right. What are you all having for breakfast? What you eating? What you drinking? Oh, Anthony is fasting today. Now, what inspired that, Anthony? This is what I'm eating. This is non-fat yogurt with, is it? No, it's low fat. I think it's low fat. With toasted sesame seeds and uh, sunflower seeds. Excuse me. A banana. I do green smoothies every single day. And sometimes I just want a break. And I might have a green smoothie later today. But just nuts and fruit and yogurt. You could do a vegan. But the problem with vegan yogurt is it only has like 1 gram of protein. Unless you do soy. Coconut yogurt has 1 gram of protein. And almond is like 1 or 2. So you're losing a lot of protein. So good. Hi, Brenda. I got my coffee here. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Angie. Yummy. Hi, Sweden. Hi. Hi, Joel. Sweden just gave Ukraine 150 fighter jets. Do you remember a vision I had a couple years ago, you guys? How many of you are old timers? Joel's the floor director. He's been here since like 5 years. Do you remember what I said about Sweden and Ukraine? I said that Sweden and Finland would be part of NATO, and that Sweden would come in with jets. Remember that? I can't stop eating this. I need to stop. I think we're going to have to. So, who's to blame, do you think? Who is to blame for the government shutdown? What is the Senate doing? How much money has the 47th President of the United States cost the U.S. taxpayer? Excuse me. Was that the plan the whole time? We are watching him literally tear down the White House, and he has put us $32 trillion into debt. $38 trillion by the end of the year. Meditate on that. You would rather not? I hear you. Rather not meditate on that? Step back and look at that. Let's step back and look at that. He is taking a wrecking ball to the White House, and he has placed America $32 trillion into debt. Is the goal, whether he's consciously aware of it or not, bankruptcy? Destruction of the U.S.? Do you think he's intentionally trying to destroy the U.S.? Excuse me. What do y'all think about that? Giuffre, yes, Virginia Giuffre's book is being released this week. Well, we talked about who was responsible, and we came to the conclusion that it was ultimately U.S. intelligence, the FBI, that gave the sweetheart deal to Donald Trump and to hundreds of other what are they saying, 100 or more pedophiles that were caught on tape in these orgies. And it involves senators and judges, politicians, both in the United States, but in many other foreign countries as well. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Israel, Britain, France was also involved. So, if the sweetheart deal, excuse me, was given to us by the FBI, then it is ultimately the buck stops with the FBI. Many of the children who were victims were in and out of the foster care system, so they were wards of the state. They should have been under federal protection. Because the reason you're in the foster care system is because adults are a threat to your safety. To be clear, the reason a child goes into foster care is to get safe. The trauma isn't necessarily foster care. The trauma happened, which led to the child needing to be taken into foster care. I think we sometimes get confused about that. So if somebody's trying to kill you, you fall under federal and state protection. And that's where Child Protective Services comes in. And that's where the FBI comes in, monitoring things like human trafficking. But in this particular case, the FBI was more than happy to feed children to these predators. And so ultimately, before we twist ourselves into knots with conspiracy theories, I think we have to look at the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is the FBI, which has had those tapes and proof for a very long time. And I think it's beyond horrific and insulting to the survivors that FBI has come to speak to the Epstein victims to talk about it, as if they don't already know and haven't known for a very long time who Donald Trump is, who Epstein is, because they have it all on tape. And yet they did nothing to keep him out of the White House and probably encouraged it. So that is the sober, hard truth that all of us have to sit with as U.S. citizens. We can't blame it on the Jews, even though we would like to. Blame the Israelis. We can't blame it on the Brits. That damn Church of England, right? We could blame the Church of England. If you don't want to blame the Jews, you can blame the Church of England, right? Headed by the king, right? And his creepy brother. Blame the French. Like the guy that committed suicide in a prison in Paris. But what all these countries have in common is they all have pedophiles in them. And our FBI aided and abetted in what was happening and has worked diligently to cover it up and to protect the perpetrators and even to continue to assist them in things like U.S. elections. So that's the elephant in the room. And that is the thing that you need to sit with and pray on if you're a U.S. citizen. And you need to take that in and not blame some foreign country. And I need to take that in as a U.S. citizen. My country did this to my children, right? If they're under state and federal protection, that means you and I are the parents, right? That's why we pay our taxes to go to things like feeding foster kids, giving compensation to those amazing people that become foster parents, right? So what are we going to do about it as Americans? When our own FBI wants to keep the Epstein file from being released because they're the ones that are responsible for the fact that these people got off. So that's the real conversation when you take the blinders off. Have we been naive about America? Did we watch too many episodes of Brady Bunch? I know I did. I agree, Rachel. They say that child abuse is as American as apple pie. During the Great Depression, they were just taken in as work slaves. First Depression, 1919, you put them on the rails. You would put them in, gather them all up, all these urchins who you resent the fact that I got to feed you. I didn't ask to be born. Now you're pissed that you got to feed me. No idea that children are a blessing. They're a damn burden. Put them on their train and send them out west and dump them. And so pedophiles and people that needed slaves would just collect these kids and take them onto the farm and do whatever to them. There was no concept that children were children. They were just little people. So really interesting studies on how children were viewed during Victorian times. Yeah, not all, but many are. I was in 3 separate foster homes as a child. I was personally in 3 of them, and it was a lot better than where I came from. But yeah, you can have those situations, and you know, the point here is that these children are our children, aren't they? So we have to really sit with the truth of that. And who is policing the police? Who is policing the police? And I think we have to do a huge expose, and I think it needs to start on a grassroots level. And we have to also accept the fact that our intelligence agencies are not going to help us with this because they are participants. So they're not going to help us get to the truth of this. They're going to obstruct. They're going to shut down the government. They're going to do whatever they have to do in order to protect these criminals and keep you from finding out who's really in charge of your government, my government. That's, I did a remote on this last night, and that I was kind of like, well, what do I tell people? That sounds pretty damn harsh, But that's really, it's like the guy who doesn't come home at night and the story gets crazier and crazier and crazier. You ever see him? He was on Povich or something. And she says, why didn't you come home last night? He says, I was kidnapped. Well, you were kidnapped. That's horrible. We've got to go to the police. No, they're long gone. What makes you think? Well, they had foreign accents. You were kidnapped by people with foreign accents. What was it, like a drug cartel? And the story got crazier and crazier. And so she brought him to Maury Povich to have a lie detector test taken because he'd been kidnapped a second time. It was the second time he didn't come home. Well, that's the second time he didn't come home. What happened? I got kidnapped again. So that's kind of the song and dance we're doing with the feds right now, the gaslighting. Well, why haven't you released it? Well, we stubbed our toe. Oh, we forgot. It's the Democrats. It's the... Who's going to police the police? That's the conversation today. Who's going to police the police? Do you guys mind if I pour myself another cup of coffee while we contemplate that? Would that be okay? The only problem is I never have any way to get out of here after I set myself up. Hold on. Just wanna, this is unacceptable. Hold on. It's like when I was married, I found out I was defrauded in my marriage. And you'll spend years not doing anything about it because you just don't want to go accusing, right? So you're like the frog in boiling water. And then when it's irrefutable, I'm sure a lot of people have had this in their marriages. You find someone cheating or defrauding you or something like that. We've all had these kinds of unfortunate experiences with friends, family, whatever. So most of us can relate to this. And there comes a point when the person that you trusted is just caught red-handed, and you say to them, you look them in the eye and they know they're caught, and you say, "Why did you do this to me? I thought you cared about me. I thought you loved me. Why'd you do this to me? I'm a good person. I tried to help you. I gave you that money in with the best of intentions. I trusted you." Right? Does that sound familiar to any of you? So that's the point you need to get to now, I think, if you're an American. That's how it should feel because that's what's happened. And being bullied by ICE people, like, we don't give a damn about your children, and pushing people around. You better give a damn because we pay your bills, because we're the only people that are paying your bill. We are the only ones that are paying the taxes because those criminals that took the White House, they're not paying their taxes. It's our frickin' FBI because I pay your I'm the one that gives you your paycheck. Not the creeps you've been protecting who don't pay their taxes. Pumpkin, you got that much? You figured that much out? Public servant? I'm your employer, not them. Certainly not if they're from a foreign country, right? So I would implore everybody, whether you're on the left or on the right, to start getting people to have that conversation. Where was the FBI? Where was the FBI? What is this sweetheart deal? What did you do with the money, honey? I gave you money, honey. Where's the money? Why are we 37 trillion more in debt? I pay a very high tax rate. I'm a sole proprietor. There should be plenty of money. Honey, where's the money? Why are you hiding the bankruptcy that you have or whatever is going on? 37 trillion by the end of the quarter? And you're tearing our White House literally down with a bulldozer. And your FBI and my FBI helped those kids get raped, and that's objective reality. We need to sit with that. We need to sit with that for a long time, and we need to try and figure out what the heck that is. What is that? Anybody been on reservation? Native American reservation? Spent any time on reservation? There are a lot of natives probably right around now saying, that's what we told you about the FBI. That's what we've been saying about the FBI when they come on reservation and we got problems. This is our issue with the FBI, the American Indian Movement, AIM, right? If they had Qatari money, Gaza would be nothing compared to what those 500 nations would do if they had the economic resources and organization and Qatari money. You wouldn't be living in that cushy house in California or wherever, right? So some of us were naive, right? We thought that the FBI cared about us. I thought we were in this relationship, right? Clearly not. Clearly, this is not the relationship I thought it was. You don't believe in no man is above the law. You don't believe in justice. You don't believe in protecting American people. You don't believe in protecting the most vulnerable amongst us. You don't believe in anything like that. You believe in protecting a bunch of rich criminals who've been stealing our money, taking money across out of the country through the Panama Papers and everything else, so that we're stuck paying the bill and we're $37 trillion in debt. That's who the FBI is working for. Pedophiles, who's criminals, basically. So our FBI has been taken over by criminals. Criminals that helped put a criminal in the White House by covering up. They knew damn well what he was doing with Epstein when they got a sweetheart deal. And you can be sure he's one of the people that got that deal. And so who got the deal? The FBI. So who's ultimately wanting to do the cover up? The FBI. Who knew who Epstein was and yet did nothing to warn the American people during the 2016 election? If the FBI is not stupid, like they're just now figuring out these women got raped by Epstein. They have all the tapes. They have everything. They don't care. They helped make it happen. That's the point. They were cheering it on. Hell, they were probably participating. So the big cover up is not Donald Trump. I've said this 5 years ago that the big cover up is our intelligence agencies. Our intelligence agencies have been compromised by big money, by greed, by powerful people who can wheel and deal. Most of them white Protestants, if you must know. Not that it matters, because greed is multicolored, right? Anybody can be a creep, Anyway, that has been my experience, and I think it's something that we have to come to terms with. And what that's going to say about our future as a country, now that we can no longer afford to be naive, that this is our country. They are a threat to your safety and the safety of your children. That is the bottom line. That the American government is a threat to our safety. That's what you have to come to terms with. If they cared about us, we wouldn't have a catfishing problem on Facebook. We wouldn't have 100 different Brad Pitts and 100 different Angelina Jolies for all the people that they're targeting. The FBI would shut it down. The FBI doesn't shut it down because the FBI stopped caring about you if it ever did a long time ago. It would be very easy to capture these people. They operate openly on X. They operate openly on all these platforms. They don't care about you. And that's what we have to get to come to terms with. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to do the empath prayer. If anyone would like to receive a healing at this time, we would love to give you that healing, since I guess we could all use it right about now. Prayers for you and for, what is this? Oh, prayers that you may need for yourself or for anyone you love. We can happily include you in our prayers today. Also, want to give a special shout out. We do have a Book of the Month club if you haven't joined it yet. And our book of the month is Atlantis Falling, written by Adam Gabriel Steinmetz, about the fall of Atlantis. It ought to be a great read. I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying it. And I believe he'll be in our studio sometime around approximately November 4th. We have to check. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll do the empath prayer, shall we? Okay. Excuse me. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together we say, Amen. And for those of you today who are requesting a healing, we come together collectively at this time and we pray for you. We pray for you and for those you love, that you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, collectively, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. And since we're talking about it, we also want to pray for, if we haven't sent up prayers yet, for Virginia Giuffre and her family. I know it's late, that her soul is at rest and that her abusers be brought to justice soon. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to do the collective reading for the week. Stuff is good, but I have a sesame seed in my throat. Oh, my breakfast? It was seeds and yogurt. Have you guys ever done this? Sesame seeds and yogurt? And I saute them with a little sea salt, so it makes it a little salty. Yeah. Got one stuck in my throat. I love it. I love toasted sesame seeds. It's one of my favorites. Okay. Your reading for the week. The reading for the week. Yeah, I love Gamazio, toasted sesame. Oh my God. Oh, I got something in my throat. Let's take a look. What is the week going to be like? What is the week going to be like? I know I love fruit and nuts. It's very it's very Scandinavian. I'm an Anderson. Got some of that Scandinavian in me. It's interesting. The base of the matter is the Constitution and the higher ethos of the nation. So now is the time to think about how you were raised, how I was raised. Got a little dust here somewhere. And to ask ourselves if the way that we've been raised is, if the way we're living our lives right now is based on the values that we were raised with. That's the ultimate question. Because the Hierophant is about one's higher ethos. It can be dogma or extremism, but in its most highest form, it's really about our higher ethos. My sister and I used to love the Brady Bunch, and we felt that it had good values. It was an after-school program. You would go home, and the Brady Bunch would teach you ethics for living an ethical or an ethical or, or righteous life, right? So you have this as the base of the matter. In the government, it's called the Constitution, or the higher ethos is the Constitution. And then what's coming in is this business energy. I think we're going to have to end the government shutdown. I think it can't go on forever. And I think that the collective feeling here is, when you go into it, is that we are all called to be honest with ourselves about our ethics and ask ourselves if our daily behavior is matching the ethics that we believe in. And I think Mike Johnson's going to have to bring, the chips are going to have to fall where they're going to fall. And if it means that we are going to have to come to a point, it's been 5 years, 6 years that I've been saying this. We're going to have to come to a point where we are going to have to deal with the corruption at the level of our intelligence agencies. They covered for this guy. They covered for Epstein. And then after they covered for Trump and gave him a sweetheart deal, they covered for him some more by not releasing the information to the general public, keeping it under wraps, so that vital information that would have impacted the election was intentionally kept from the American people as part of that sweetheart deal. So right now, again, the base of the matter is the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land. The higher ethos wins. That's what I would say. The higher ethos wins. I don't care how much money you've got. The King of Pentacles, it can buy his way into any nightclub, right? But that's not what this is. This is really that no man is above the law. Everyone's going to be held accountable. And that's kind of where we're headed, which is a good place to be at. Regarding issues of your health takes a main focus here this week, right? So you have this major priority over your health and issues of your health, and stress being, this is something that's come up a lot, which I know that we're all addicted to the news right now. We're all scared that our country is gone. Our White House is, part of our White House is gone forever, right? So, yeah, it's gone forever. He did that, right? So there's a lot of stress right now, and that's the other conversation people have to have is it time to jump ship? And a lot of people are jumping ship. A lot of people are leaving the United States, and it's a painful decision to make. How much are you willing to take? Because your health and the stress of the situation are interconnected. Nine of Swords is up at night, stress. It can be migraine headaches, tension headaches, pain in the shoulders, anxiety at night, having an impact on your health, strength card. So my concern here is that just the stress of the situation alone is causing people health challenges. What is above us at this time is the need to take the weapons of war away from our perpetrators. I think public outing, I think we have to just expose as much as we can. And particularly the state of Florida. It's not just the FBI. I want to know which judges in Florida were involved with the cover up with Epstein. Everybody has to be exposed. Over the issue of money, major sums of money. There's a real concern over the issues of money here. And we're coming out of a time of being trapped by the devil, codependency and addiction. This is like a cult. And we're headed towards many smooth waters lay ahead. Six of Swords is to break free. You know, what's interesting about the Six of Swords is that it has two images of the water that's being left and the water that you're going to. And the water you leave is rocky, but the water you go to is smooth. This leads me to suspect that America will find a way to wiggle its way out of this. Most Americans are good, and most of what America is producing is positive, but we must break the final shackles of the plantation mindset. And that's what this is. This is the final dregs. We've got to put the final nail in the coffin of the plantation mindset. Might makes right. I'm a white Protestant man and I'm entitled to certain things, right? That kind of an attitude. Some animals are more equal than others, right? So if we can do that, if we can continue with these, I think we need to do another No King's March. I think we need to do more than we've done. And I think that we're going to come out of this, folks. Stressing about it is not good for you. It's not good for me. But what we can do is we can all use our platforms to be mobilized about this. The first house is grief over that which we have lost. So there's also this collective feeling at this time in our lives. Maybe we feel like we're getting older. I've lost so many things. What's gonna become of me? And not see that you have all these wonderful opportunities ahead of you. So being stuck in grief, and the obstacle at this time is the truth. So it could also be a collective desire not to know the truth. We'd rather be gaslit and told a story than face the truth. So right now, the enemy is the sword of truth. The stoic woman who puts the past behind her, but she has the truth. And you can't put the past behind you and move on until you have the facts, which is why we fixate a lot of the time. Maybe we don't have all the facts. We've got to have more facts there, right? And then the final outcome for us is that we will the spiritual lesson here is to know your power. If you don't like something, you can leave. If you don't like something, you can fire them. If you We can rise up, no kings. We can take back our country. We are not as helpless as we think we are. Um, and the King of Swords is sanitation, discipline. It's the military. And it could be that we're entering into a time of great discipline, that we are entering into a time of great discipline. And the obstacle is revealing the truth, stoicism, and again, revealing or getting additional information. I'm telling you, the powers that be are actively working to keep the truth from coming out about all kinds of things, not to protect the victims, not to protect the American people or anything like that. It's because they don't want to. The FBI is scared of what you'll do to them when the truth comes out about how they acquiesced and allowed this to happen. Some of you will have to end long-term relationships. You know, there's something coming up in these cards that a lot of you could be transitioning out of relationships with people. You know, coming into your power and leaving old heartbroken over existing partnerships, being independent and disciplined. You could find that you're going to have to limit how much time you spend with relatives over Thanksgiving, because there's something coming up here about having to accept the fact that the people who are close to you that are hurting you are probably never going to change. Praying and hoping that the day is going to come when they're going to be nice to you or stop cheating on you or lying or stealing or whatever. This, you know, on the bigger picture, if you're talking about the United States, that's a partnership. We the people, right? But it's just bull crap. I mean, I think that all this truth that's coming out right now, it's not we the people. That you're just lying to us so that you can continue and telling us we're the greatest country in the world and that we're the richest. If we're the richest, how come we have 37 trillion in debt? Just because of Trump alone. That doesn't make any sense. Are we the richest or not? How can you be 37 trillion in debt from one president and say you're the richest country in the world? It sounds to me like we're bankrupted. And who's paying for this endless bankruption? If we're bankrupted, who's paying? Oh, you and I. It's an endless pit of debt, which is why we keep pouring more and more money into our taxes, but getting nothing in return because you are paying the debt. Well, where'd the debt come from? The Iraq War. Did you want a war in Iraq? Did you want to bomb Iraq? Did Iraq have anything to do with 9/11? Where'd the money come from? We borrowed it from China. So you've been bankrupted. And now you don't have SNAP because all their warmongering friends, bought a bunch of bombs and went and bombed a country that never did anything to you, was not involved in this war, was not involved in 9/11, so they could make a bunch of money selling war supplies that we don't need in a war we shouldn't have had that killed 500,000 people, and we're still going to be paying for it. So you have this energy, we have this energy of heartbreak over one's partnerships and global importing, exporting, and trade. So I think also, if you're just looking at it from the perspective of Trump, he's created irreversible damage here with our trade partners. If you're looking at this also from a global perspective, but on a personal level, there are certain people that are members of my family. I'll give you a personal example. They don't respect me. They don't believe in the type of medicine I practice, and they let me know that. They think that they don't like me. You know, every time we go go out with certain family members, there's certain family members that it doesn't matter, they don't like you. You rub them the wrong way. They insult everything about you, the way you dress, the way you hold a fork, the way, we've all had people like that in our lives, right? But you don't get rid of them because they're family, right? So it becomes this idea, Alan Watts talks about this, that solitude is better than being with family like that, right? So every time we choose family over a situation like that, we're choosing ourselves over, well, we all have that. Thank you, sweetie. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I'm just saying, I don't spend a lot of time with this person. I'm just saying, we all have relatives like that. I don't live with them or anything. It's just somebody I in the family, right? The point is that would be an example of a partnership where, with that particular family member, my feeling is, you don't respect me, you talk over me. I just don't want to hang out with you. No bad vibes, but I don't want to be treated like this. So that could be something that's happening to you on a personal level. But on a global level, I think that we're in serious trouble with trade, with this type of juxtaposition. We're going to be okay. I think the individual is going to be okay. But cleaning up the damage that Trump has done, we're going to be okay because the sixth house is the Six of Swords. So we're going to come out of this probably relatively soon. I'll go ahead and do some blitzes now if you guys like. We'll blitz away as soon as I get the order. But basically, the takeaway here is everything will be okay. Move away from any codependent or addictive relationships or toxic persons. Stop being gaslit or in denial, whether it's on a global level, the FBI, or, the royal family in Britain, right? No more kings means no more kings, like doing away with the idols and the gaslighting and all of this sort of thing, and being able to see people and situations as they are. And that's the beginning of the healing. And recognize our power too, with the magician as the final outcome. We have to decide for ourselves what kind of country we want, because if we're not careful, it's going to turn quickly into a dictatorship. And so that has to be something that we mutually decide we're going to do everything in our power to get our country back. And hold those politicians and people in positions of power, the wealthy, hold them accountable for putting us in this situation. Everybody that's part of the Panama Papers, everybody that didn't pay their taxes, they're basically, it's like you go to a big, big, expensive restaurant that you and I can't afford. Maybe we go once a year because little Tommy graduated from whatever. It's those family events. Well, I'm going to be out $40 or $50 or whatever, right? I'll order the salad, right? We've all been at those events too, right? So the oligarchs went to town. They rented the best restaurant, best steak, best lobster. And then when the bill came, they passed it down the table, and you and I got the bill. And we had the salad, right? Because we couldn't afford this place. Right? Absolutely insane. Okay, the effect of her book, Virginia Giuffre's book on the American people. What are you thinking? Will it have a huge effect? What are you thinking? There's a lot here about people wanting to start things in her memory. Organizations and nonprofits for girls and boys that fall within the cracks. There's a service card here, the Six of Pentacles. She is at rest, Four of Swords. But you have this wonderful outgrowth from after she died of people wanting to get involved in helping stop human trafficking. And you also have this conflict in the House, conflict in the Senate. Five of Wands would be exchange of ideas. The House is in trouble. I don't think when she was alive she knew that she would cause civil war in Congress, but that appears to be what's happened. In death, she has caused this huge tower over everything. But she's also done the Six of Pentacles, where everyone's like giving to like foundations in her name and stuff to stop human trafficking. So that's really great. Yeah, so she did. Even in death, she is creating good karma. And this is something that the Talmud talks about, is that you continue to incur karma after you die. The Talmud gets into this. Other religions don't quite as much. So if you do a mitzvah, if you do something that saves generations to come, then your good deeds continue. Your merit continues after you have passed the earth. Right? So what they're saying is that her good deeds, her blessings, her, giving, her service continues after her death. She's causing major disruption, Five of Wands and the Tower. And fear of abandonment, locked out of the church. These men are going to be named and they're terrified. And not just named, but the men like Mike Johnson that tried desperately to cover it up. Please don't leave me. I can't get into the church and I got a broken foot. I don't care. I don't care anymore. You're not the person that gets my empathy right now. Right? So there's a feeling, this is a sober time. This is a very sober time. It's like a funeral for our country. It is a sober time. And every single person in this country needs the facts, and we need to have a very serious conversation as Americans about the direction the country has gone in and what we can do to bring it back to center. There's a lot of people that love what Donald Trump is doing. He's going to make it a Christian nation again. Get rid of all them foreigners, right? Them spooky foreigners, right? So a lot of people like what he's doing. And we have to reconcile with that too. All right, Russians are retreating from Pokrovsk, Ukraine today, with Ukrainian forces retaking the area. Will Russia gradually leave Ukraine in the future? Well, Putin knows what's coming. He's going to be removed. Right now, we're focusing on getting rid of Hamas. And then once Hamas is gone, they'll start the rebuild of Gaza. They've already started planning everything. So once that's underway, then they can knock off Putin. That's basically the domino effect. I mean, one of the things you learn when you start to look at these people and you start looking at data is you start to realize just how horrible these people are. And you start to realize that it's all about money and trade routes and making money. And I got to get this trade out. Well, hell, if I can make $350 billion and a year on this contract, then I'll feed. That's all you need to do to tell me to get rid of Putin, right? I'll get rid of Putin tomorrow, today, first thing in the morning, right? Because it's costing me money. And that was ultimately what was decided. So right now, President Trump has talked about the fact that we're in the middle of phase 2, right? So we had phase 1 ceasefire. Now we're in phase 2. So the second phase is that after the exchange, which has happened, is that Hamas has to leave. Could you do a rebuild and have Hamas stay? Let's talk about that. Can Hamas just stick around? First, we said they have to disarm. So first we disarm them. And then, but what's the ultimate goal? We've got to get them out of there, right? So lure them to a host country. We'll give you $50,000 to move to Algeria, right? Then we'll see the adoption of Oasis. We'll also see orphans being adopted into Oasis, which is really great. And then 4 will be Putin is taken out. So can this be avoided? No, it cannot be avoided. Are we 100% sure? Yes, we're 100% sure. How are we 100% sure that this is going to happen? We're 100% sure it's going to happen because we know how much money is on the line. Can Putin and Russia, can Russia and Iran be a part of the Abraham Accords? No, why not? Why can't Iran and Russia be part of the Abraham Accords? Because they're nuclear power. He's a nuclear power and they want to become a nuclear power, right? So both of them are nuclear powers that are threatening us. So in answer to your question, Joel, there is no other way out. Putin has to go. And all the money, big money agrees on it, which is why he was not there during that signing. He's gone and Iran is gone, Iranian leadership, 100%. Well, future elections will be more closely watched and monitored to prevent cheating. Boy, let's take a look. I would think they would have to, but boy, America, I'm so happy about that. But I want to see more no King's marches. We need to have them be even bigger and more notifications so that every single U.S. citizen knows where they can go. The revolution is going to happen very, very quickly. There is a swelling up and a change, and it's happening really, really quickly because we have an 8 of Wands. And 8 of Wands is quick, 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 quick. It's also a strife card. So if you're asking about revolution or, future elections or any of the crazy that's going on, this is a rapid change happening right now. This is so terrifying with the FBI, which put this nut job in the White House, right? The FBI put this fruitcake there. First, they covered up his crimes. Then they made up BS stories about Hillary. That should tell you right there how compromised the FBI is. First, you covered for Epstein. Then you gave a sweetheart deal. Then you covered up this fruitcake and all of his friends. Who knows? And Kavanaugh. So what we know for sure at this time is that the FBI doesn't care about us. And it doesn't care about children getting raped. 100%. It doesn't care about that. It doesn't care about human trafficking. It does the bare minimum. And it doesn't care about con artists and criminals. All you have to do is go on Facebook and see all the fake accounts to see that it's open criminal activity because they know what you now know, that the FBI doesn't care about U.S. citizens. I talked to a spammer once. I said, "You're a spammer. You're claiming to be Brad Pitt or whatever." He's like, "Yeah." "Where are you from?" "Lagos or wherever." I'm like, "So aren't you worried that the feds are going to catch you?" He said, "Nah, they never bother us." He could have an open conversation. "Yeah, I'm from Lagos. I impersonate Brad Pitt. People are lonely, old ladies. They give me money." The FBI is, they let me do whatever I like. I'm fine. Okay. Continue being Brad Pitt because the FBI is not going to do anything about it, right? Who doesn't want to believe Brad Pitt's in love? Well, I'm not really into Brad Pitt, but, some people are. I have weird, quirky taste. Like I used to have the worst crush on Paul Simon because he was always singing these songs about needing to be like homeward bound, and it's like, oh, it was like, you could come stay with me. I always thought he was so sweet. No, all my other friends had crushes on Garfunkel, but I always had a crush on Paul Simon. All right. Future elections will be secure. Archangel Gabriel, he protects the earth, right? Closest to the earth is Gabriel. The earth is associated with the pentacles. Gabriel. Gabriel is our inspiration. Gabriel helped the Muhammad, peace be upon him, write the Quran, for example. So he's always very close, whispering to the earth, giving inspiration, new employment, new jobs, that sort of thing. So I would say it's very auspicious. Yeah. The other thing is that we could be bringing in theoretically somebody neutral, like Switzerland or Iceland or some neutral company, Sweden, to oversee our elections, because there's something here about a neutral foreign third party being selected to monitor us. So we have our system, and then a neutral party from, say, Sweden or Switzerland would come in and offer to audit us. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. Well, a lot of banana republics have had to do that, and bring in people, auditors from a company. They're just paper pushers. That here are the results from the Swiss bank of where, so be it. Do it. If it's, I mean, it's sad that it's going to have to probably get to that point, but yeah, third party tested. Could do more than one. Could do one out of France, do one out of Sweden, have an audit out of Switzerland with well-respected companies that are known to be, kosher, and see what results you got. Yeah. Oh, the comet. Yeah, what it looks like is that part of it has a lot of metal. The front part has a lot of metal, and the back part has a lot of ice, and that's why it's giving off its weird. I know. I wish I could say something more exciting. I know. No, it's not an alien craft. When I got onto it, I felt that it was a big chunk of metal, and on the back, attached to this big chunk, was a big thing of ice. What looked like ice. So when it says that it's zooming through the air and they're seeing all these colors from the metal, but then they're seeing this weird water trail, that's what they're seeing. So it's going at a certain propulsion. So the front ice part has been peeled off and it's just the metal, but the back tail part still has some ice. And that's basically, it's what the remote view showed. I know you'd like it to be something else, but yeah, let's take a look. Yeah, just had to do with where the friction was, and the ice in the back wasn't getting as much friction. Let's take a look. It's a weird shape. Looks kind of like a sea manatee to me when I was walking on it. Like it had a front part like that, and then a tail area in the back. But that's kind of what it looked like to me as the remote viewer. Like, oh, on the back I've got ice. Oh, that's what that is. It comes in peace. No. That's interesting. Water and fire. Yeah, it's both. The fire part, I don't know. I guess it could be metals like iron, right? Iron. It will pass. It's a great opportunity to learn about water in the atmosphere, what looks like water, or these liquid-like gases look to me like ice out on other planets, or water formations. And like I said, the front part looks like a metal like iron. And it looks like it has almost a disc front, and then a raggedy back area, and then in between the middle of the back area looks like there's massive amounts of what looks like a blue type of ice. That's what I'm seeing. So if I were to draw it, Have they gotten an image yet? Show you what I see. Oh my God. Sorry, my pen's not working. Dang, I need to throw away these old pens. I'm sorry, my pen isn't working. I can't show you. But yeah, so basically just it goes up like this. Like it has a blunt front area with metal, and then the back area had an ice pocket in the center. What's that thing a stingray? Looks almost like a stingray body. That's what I'm seeing. And then there's a pocket area here where the ice is. So it's dripping in the back. Yeah, it's neat. It is neat. Yeah. Science is neat. I guess you could say it kind of looks like a spacecraft, right? Because it has that rounded part. I know. Like, how could you let the most vulnerable Americans be exposed to that? And it's just, they say we're overwhelmed. Well, you shouldn't be. That's where our money needs to be going. That's what you're hired to do, is to protect the American people. That's your job. Your job is not to help pedophiles get off. Your job is to protect the American people. So go do that. There should be money for that. All right, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Yeah, these are crazy times. All right. Did you all have fun? Did you have a good time today? It's been over an hour. I know. It's our money. Absolutely, Jay. That is the attitude. And these criminals have gutted our government. They did it slowly over time. They robbed us blind. They shut our government down. They are now smashing through our White House. They've cost us $37 trillion by the end of the quarter. At what point do we have to come out of denial and say they're not on our side? Right? All right. Thank you, my loves. Thank you so much for being here. The book of the month is Atlantis Falling. Atlantis Falling. It is written by Adam Gabriel Steinmetz. Adam Gabriel Steinmetz. And he will be in our studios November 4th. November 4th at 6 p.m. if you'd like to see the interview here live on Taco Tuesday. All right. That's it. That's all I have for you. All right. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time, everyone. Thank you guys so much for everything. All right. Bye. Thank you.